giving us a wonderful day. Today with us is Mohammed Gandhi Kamara, the president of Linsu, and we would like to welcome him wholeheartedly for coming to KMTV. And today we're going to be talking about varieties of issues coming from the end of the students' community. So I remain Zach Sherman and hope to be with you just after this break.
With their rising numbers, young people around the world are vital to the transformation of society. Of course, they are direct architects of the very uniqueness we need. But what is the way forward in reducing some of the challenges hindering the involvement of youth and society? Is it health, education, advocacy, and you just name it? Here comes Youth Inside, 1 hour youth dialogue that sets the agenda for young people to be expressive of their view, thoughts, activities, and how they affect the society. Join us every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Youth Inside, only on KMTV. With me, your host, Zach Tortiama Sherman.
Welcome back. This is Youth Insight, and I'm Zach Tortiama Sherman. Today we have us Mr. President of Linsu, Mohammed Gandhi Kamara. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you, my dear brother.
It's a pleasure to have our president from the end of the students' community.
Thank you very much for the invite, and I'm very much grateful for this opportunity, for the fact that your social media viewing is one of the largest in our country, and so it's a pleasing pleasure, honor, and privilege for the students of our country to have this great opportunity to share platform with you. Thank you again.
Okay, it's something that I didn't inform you that in a way we were considered, or we've been considered as the best online TV station in
congratulations.
Liberia. The president of Liberia.
Congratulations.
So going strictly to keep the ball rolling, we understand you guys been in a lot of issues, walking through the walls of some challenges and other things confronting. First of all, let's get away with how is it like for you personally before we go further quickly?
So again, basically for interview purpose of the overview of the institution, the National Student Movement has always been at the center stage for advocacy in our country, and also providing direction for millions of students in our country. And so the National Student Movement, again, we have so many challenges, ranging down from increment in tuition, high living costs in our country, parents not being able to pay the fees of students in our country, and also having foreign students elsewhere demanding for allowances. And we have so many issues still with the National Student Movement. But I hope we can have the time to go play by play and discuss some of these pertinent issues confronting students in our country, and we hope that we can also find remedy to some of these problems confronting students. And we also hope that we have people listening who can also make a greater contribution to our students to our students, and also be able to put forth recommendation to the student union and ask for how we move forward.
Okay, we understand basically just to let our audience or viewers know that we're going to be discussing with the time we hope to work on it, and we're going to be looking at the issue of the autopsy from Odell, the late Odell, who was mysteriously seen dead. We also look at the rises of tuitions at various campuses in Liberia. We saw the student union highlighting such issue, and we hope that they are going to be stressing on and what their stand as it stands. We understand the issue of the Moroccan students there in Morocco. How has it been for them? What's the involvement of the student union of Liberia into this issue? And it has been a very serious national issue where there have been a lot of calls coming in, so we want to see how is the student union standing towards the issue of the Moroccan students in Morocco, the issue of Liberian students who went to Morocco for further study. We're also looking at the issues from the UMU, that's the University of Liberia, where we saw
University.
That's the United Methodist University. Thank you very much. And we also saw that, some students that were expelled and later they were reconsidered. Let's hope that the president is going to give us a total breakdown and update about those happenings. First of all, let's jump start with the issue about Odell autopsy. Recently, we saw your presence with Odell's parents, and talking about the government have agreed to honor right any cause from the parents, wherein they're going to provide anybody who's going to carry out the autopsy. How's it been like so far?
So again, there's a breaking news from the angle of the National Student Movement. Currently, as we speak, the autopsy is ongoing as in Moses funeral parlor.
Okay.
The pathologist arrived in the country yesterday about 12 noon, and this morning we were told that the autopsy was to start by 10 o'clock a.m. this morning. But then what happened is that we went at a place and preparations were on way to make sure that process can start. And by 1 o'clock, the process started. And because of the engagement here, I have to leave from the place and come here. So later, 8 o'clock, we have a result from there, and we actually know as to what led to the death of the late Odell Sherman.
So what was the duration there?
The duration of the autopsy, I'm not a medical person, I don't know, but what we're told to stay, and before the end of the day, we're going to receive a result from in there. So for me, I was asked to even go in, but because for me, I'm not used to seeing blood and those kind of horrible things, so I refused to go in. I sent a representative in there to represent the National Student Movement, and also we have the family being represented. We have other groups represented, the LMP and other institutions are represented, and to make sure that this whole case comes to an end, and then we get to understand as to what led to the death of the late Odell Sherman.
Is government knowledgeable?
Oh yes, as we speak, and that is one thing I want to speak to. I want to use the public medium to also say thanks to the president for his intervention, because after weeks of protestation and also comments from the LMP, also from the family of the late student, the family refused that the government cannot conduct the autopsy on the body of the late Odell Sherman, because the government at the time have already come up with a statement about how they think this little girl died. Okay. So because of that, the family believed then that it was not going to be possible for the government to conduct the autopsy at the same time come up with a better judgment of verdict. So on the basis of that, the family requested that they send for a pathologist and that person be responsible to conduct the autopsy, and whatever results from that autopsy process, they were going to honor that. So what the family did, we brought in a pathologist by the name of Rocky Fellow. Okay. I think you heard about Rocky Fellow Cooper, and then based on the investigation from the government of Liberia, we were told that Rocky Fellow was not qualified to do the job. Okay. So based on that, they then asked the family again to request to send for another person or look for another person who is qualified. And so when we met the president said, okay, sanitize the case, and the first time the burden was on the family. Now, you can request or you can look for whoever you want to look for, whether from the United States of America, China, wherever they come from, the government will shoulder the responsibility, the person air ticket, the length of time, whatever cost attached of bringing that person here to do the work, okay, the government will shoulder the responsibility. And so again, from the student union, we asked the family to have the opportunity of doing so, because we too were asked by the family to see how they could bring somebody on board, and we left that responsibility. So, and so the family found another person from the U.S., okay, and the person arrived yesterday, and currently as we speak, the autopsy is ongoing as in Moses funeral parlor. So we hope that we can have a better news from the process today.
So does that mean the government was able to live up with this promise?
Yeah, sure. Okay. The government lived up to its responsibility, as the president stated few weeks ago. So again, like I said, this is the first of a kind that people or the National Student Movement will request that this should be done, and at the end of the day, because of our advocacy, it happened. Because we stood by the family, we said, for the fact that the government have started pronouncing or giving position statement already, that they believe that the girl slipped, they believe that the girl fell from the stairs, and you know, that it led to her death and what have you. We said no, the police was not credible to handle the situation. So because of that, we requested for an independent pathologist, and then today that person is in the country, and we just hope that whatever results that will come from the process today, we hope the family and also Rabbi Giddings can accept the result from the process today.
Okay, we have another thing that we should be talking about. We listen to you guys at the same time where you guys stress out the issue of tuitions coming up, coming to its height, you know, in the country with their own observance and looking at the economic situation, and that was something you guys put up, and how what decision or what are those things you guys are put into place so that the issue of tuition going up, skyrocketing, can be mitigated?
So last week we met with the Deputy Minister of MOE,
Okay, Ministry of
Education, Latin Daton,
Okay.
and we also put forth this in our argument about the increment in tuition fees at our high school, universities, and other vocational institutions. And he also told us that the government does not have the right to regulate private institutions as to how much they charge for fees and tuition. So the only thing they can do is that they can regulate government institutions. That is the University of Liberia, maybe G.W. Gibson, Tottenham, D12, Matilda Nipo, those institutions that are governed squarely by government. But for private institutions, you're very clear that these institutions are meant for profit making. So at times, they will charge whatever. So, but then my question was, but I think the government should have the responsibility to regulate or to say, okay, this is the benchmark. From here to here should be the maximum. But no one should pass this point. And he was saying that, okay, for Eastern graduation fees, there are schools that are charging $150, $150 United States for graduation fees. That is for high school students. When I was in high school, I can remember paying even more than 2,000 Liberty, that which is equivalent to $10 US now.
But it's another era.
Yeah, it's another era, and we understand that change is the only change that never changes, right? So change is consistent.
Okay.
So we understand that, but the astronomical increment in the fees is what we are concerned about. So what do you expect struggling parents to get 150 United States dollar, 175, some 105 USD, and if you do the conversion into Liberty, you know the amount. So if we've been having some issue with that, and we are hopeful to have a press conference next week with the Ministry of Education and also the student movement to have some of the issues settled, and we hope that the schools administrators can also listen, because in every institutions of the learning, you have three basic factors. You have the administration, you have the faculty, you have the students.
Okay.
So those three factors or those three components of the institution must agree before they can move forward. So if you have administration charging too much money and the students, the parents cannot afford, it becomes a problem. So we believe that this institution and the owner of this institution have to listen as to how we move forward and make sure that it is not only about profit making or making money at the level of the institution, but it's about empowering the country and providing knowledge for the mass, for the vast majority of young people in this country. So sometimes administrators needs to understand that they have to leave the issue of profit making, but focus on what will be the benefit tomorrow. How can these kids benefit our country in the future?
Another thing is you coming up with an issue where when it is completed or when it comes to fruition, the students the student body will be relieved on the issue of funds for their education. But another issue is how is it are you getting this information? Because we understand that Monrovia is that Liberia, and that of other counties, other communities, other areas are all part of Liberia. And then you come up with this issue. How have you been getting your information? Is it from Monrovia or other places of Liberia?
So again, as you may be aware, LINSU, we cover the entire country. And so we have our county leadership in various counties.
Okay.
So for Maserati, a few weeks ago, you hosted the president of the Maserati Students Union, Yasser Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Rebecca Davis, who is the president for the Bombing Student Union. So whenever there are issues from bombing, we receive information directly from her. So we also have Princess Kite, who is the president for the Basel Students Union. We also have president for the McGilly Student Union. We also have leadership from Bapulu. We have leadership in Cape Mount, and all of the counties, we have leadership. So when we're making decisions, it is not only about Maserati. So we receive information from all of the counties, and based on the information we gather from all of the counties, it can inform our perspective as to how we make decisions. So the issue about tuition increment is not only Maserati, it is affecting the entire country.
So that means you were confronted those guys from the various counties, those student leaders?
Yes. As we speak, we have more than 50 information sheets in our possession. We're comparing them with last semester or last academic school year tuition. Some of the schools, like the Cali system, almost 100% increment. That have a little brother who was in 10th grade last year, paid almost 40,000+ Liberian dollars. This year they are paying close to 90,000 Liberty. So you understand that they have almost 100% increment in their tuition fees. So we are not just saying something because we people saying it or because people talking about it, but we have evidences in our possession.
So maybe the teachers or the schools who want to be a little bit reactive to your statement, maybe they want to say the price, looking at the economic status, the prices of logistics and all the materials at various schools. Maybe some schools who have come up with other motivational issues to their school, improving their laboratories, their libraries as well, and so forth. So if they're coming up with a reacting statement on those issues, what would be your stand?
So let me say this for the University of Liberia, for example. Many times we notice the increment in tuition fees without having practical effect on the lending condition of those institutions. So let's take, for instance, the University of Liberia. For the past 5 semesters, we have paid for ID cards. I challenge you, ask any students from the University of Liberia for the past 5 semesters, which is 2.5 years. Nobody have obtained ID cards. Nobody have obtained ID cards.
I mean, university.
Yeah, so you are aware, take what you are from the university. So at the university, we also pay something called student activity fees. What are the activities? We pay for internet facility. We don't receive them. And so you understand that these institutions are not only thinking about upgrading the system or bringing the best out of students, but what they are interested in is to amass wealth. And education is not a place where people amass wealth or where people get rich. So that is why even in our country, if you say you are a teacher, it means you are a poor person. Because in Liberia, a teacher will not get rich depending on your salary, except if you want to be corrupt. So even if you want to be corrupt, it's very difficult to become a rich person in the educational sector. So yeah, except if you are a minister of education.
But I want to believe it's not only Liberia anyway.
Yeah, I understand that. That is why I'm saying all over the world. So except if you are a minister and then you receive certain grant for certain project, and you take that, you put it into your personal account. If that is the case, that is different. But to be an administrator of an institution, or the owner of an institution, the proprietor of an institution, and say you're going to get rich from the little amount of money you collect from students, it's not possible.
So finally, you're coming up with this promise. What should a student body of Liberia hope for with this strong or whatsoever mechanisms you try to put in place, how do you expect students of Liberia to hold on to your statement here?
So what we can say is that we keep engaging those relevant authorities to make sure that the burden of education is not shifted on the parents or students, but rather government should take some responsibility. That is by subsidizing schools systems in our country to make sure that those fees and tuitions can be reduced, that parents and students will be able to afford for the better growth of our country. So again, when I go to school and say, oh man, you charging too much money, you have to bring it down to this level, because people have justification as to why they have to increase. But again, there are some schools we went to, some people will say because the rate is going up, they have to keep going up. Because if we're buying gas, let's say for generator, maybe 400 or 500 before, because of the rate, the gas price is going up, and they too have to keep going up to meet the standard of the institution. So we understand the concern of some of them, but some, they are not realistic. So like the Catholic school system that I just talked about, 100% increment. Go and ask for some of the information sheet from last academic year to this year. You understand that it's almost 100% increment in the tuition fees.
Okay, if you're just joining us, this is a reminder that you are watching Youth Inside, and it is a 1-hour youth dialogue that brings forth the voices of young people. How can we move our country, and not just Liberia, the international scene as well, other countries as well. And this program is not just limited to Liberians, it's also for the young population and the wheresoever you find yourself. So we'd like to kind of tell you that you are watching Youth Inside, and today with us is Mohammed Gandhi Kamara, and he's the president of LINSU. We've been speaking on a lot of issues, ranking from the issue of the autopsy from late Odell Sherman, and we also look at the issues on tuition fees. We come up after this break. We'll be coming up with the issues of the Moroccan students who had gone for studies. We'll be looking at that and what's the stand of the union. We'll also be looking at the students who were expelled and reinstated from the United Methodist University. So when we come back, we'll look at this issue.
With the rising numbers, young people around the world are vital to the transformation of society. Of course, they are direct architects to the very uniqueness we need. But what is the way forward in reducing some of the challenges hindering the involvement of youth and society? Is it health, education, advocacy, and you just name it? Here comes Youth Inside, 1-hour youth dialogue that sets the agenda for young people to be expressive of their view, thoughts, activities, and how they affect the society. Join us every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Youth Inside, only on KMTV. With me, your host, Zach Tortiama Sherman. With the rising numbers, young people around the world are vital to the transformation of society. Of course, they are direct architects to the very uniqueness we need. But what is the way forward in reducing some of the challenges hindering the involvement of youth and society? Is it health, education, advocacy, and you just name it? Here comes Youth Inside, 1-hour youth dialogue that sets the agenda for young people to be expressive of their view, thoughts, activities, and how.
Welcome back. This is Youth Inside only on KMTV Liberia. We would like to welcome you back to Youth Inside. And of course, it is a 1-hour youth dialogue that sets the agenda where we can be expressive of our views. And of course, we look at other issues ranking from health. We look at the issue of a civic involvement of young people, the involvement of young people ranking from all aspects of life and how we can move forward. Today with us is Mohammed Gandhi Kamara, the president of the Liberia National Student Union. And with us today, we've been looking at a lot of issues, and we still go into some issues, and we've been pressed with time, but nevertheless, we're going to come up with those issues, and we'll look at how these issues are going to affect us, and they are critical to the rudiment of our society. And Mohammed, you are hello, welcome again to Side after taking a short break.
Thank you very much. So I think we can quickly move to the Moroccan Liberian students studying in Morocco.
Okay.
So we can discuss a few issues because we are very pressed with time.
That has been a continuous call and a very serious issue. You guys have been raising over the period of months. I think a year as well.
Yeah. So over a month now, we're informed by the students in Morocco because, as you may be aware, these students in Morocco also fall under the ambience of the National Student Union,
Sure.
which is LINSU. So they are our colleagues. We're informed by them that things are not well with them before even the protests at the embassy in Morocco. And so, again, you know, people have this perception about LINSU, that LINSU is a radical movement. LINSU is you have gangsters, and you know, so there are times when we move into the street and people have issues with us. There are times when we are very slow to speak. People say we are not speaking on issues, and so sometimes we try to negotiate or to use the diplomatic means to talk or to bring issues to.
I mean, you're working your scope of operations.
Yeah. So when this thing started with the Moroccan students, we went to the Ministry of Education. We engaged the minister. First, we started with the deputy minister. We had a conversation with the minister, the deputy minister. Later, we moved to the minister level. We had some conversation, and we're told that we have 85 students from Liberia to Morocco that are currently studying in Morocco. Yeah, currently, including the students that do the WAS, I think 1 or 2 years ago, and also I think 54 students also left 1 or 2 years ago. And because of that, the 85 students that we're talking about, their total amount of allowance for 10 months amounted to about 400,000. So when we went at MOE, we're told that the government is working on modalities to make sure that these students are paid. And so later we could not get any better information from the Ministry of Finance, so we have to move to the President's office. And the President granted us the audience to talk with us. So in that meeting, we have representative from the Ministry of Education. We also have representative from the Ministry of Finance. And then after the discussion, the President told those two ministries that go and do the payment for these students. And so we left from there, and things did not go well. So later we came up with a opposition statement requesting the government to make the payment of our colleagues in Morocco. But then after a day, the Minister for Education appeared at the MICA press briefing, and in fact said that there are students who are overstayed, in fact, and the allowances now would be called down from $400 to $100. So we saw that as being very inhumane. Because according
they didn't give you any reason.
Yeah, according to the MOU between the government of Liberia and that of the Moroccan government, it is clearly stated that students who are doing undergraduate program should be paid $400 per month, and those who are doing graduate programs should be paid $450. So let's assume, for the sake of argument, that the economy of the country is not doing well. So because of that, the government cannot live up to its promise to these students, right? So they cannot pay the $400 no longer, the $450 to the graduate student. So they want to have a reduction. So they assume the government suggested 50% cut, which would be $200, but the government passed. And you know, the government came down as far as $100 per month. Per month.
You mean undergraduate?
Yeah, undergraduate, 100 cut across, graduate, undergraduate, $100. And in fact, what the government is telling us is that they can no longer afford, or they will not pay this 10 months we are talking about. But what they can do, from July to September, 3 months, they will pay $100 each. So 100 times 3 is 300 to those students. But the 10 months that they owe these students, which was $400, pay 10, they don't have the capacity to pay.
Mhm.
And so we see that as being wrong on the part of the government.
So what happens? What do you think would be the response from the Moroccan government? Don't you think there will be a kind of a misunderstanding between the Liberian government and the Moroccan government?
No, because what happened, I'm sorry that I did not bring the MOU, because the MOU clearly states the responsibilities of these countries. It is a bilateral scholarship. The Moroccan government is responsible to provide free tuition for these students, and also provide medical insurance. And yeah, I think these are the responsibilities of the Moroccan government. For the Liberian government, the government of Liberia is responsible to provide the allowances of these students. That is 400 and 450 for graduate, undergraduate, and also to make sure that these people are incorporated into the CSE, Civil Servant Agency, or the employment startup of our country after obtaining their degree. So the government is the one that is reneging on her responsibility. So it is not the Moroccan government. So as we speak, many of our colleagues in Morocco are sleeping with foreign friends. Some of them are sleeping with their foreign friends because the government cannot afford to pay for water bill. The government cannot afford to pay for current. The government cannot afford to pay for some of the basic needs.
But do you think
So what happened here is that the 54 students that left from here last year, they were to read French, because you know that the learning process over there is in French.
Okay.
So for Anglophone countries, you have to go through the French, learning French for a period of 1 year. After the 1 year, then you start your actual program.
Okay.
So these students went through that. After the 1 year, they took them from the dormitory. So it is the government responsibility now to make sure that these students have shelter and have their normal activities going on. So the government is not living up to that. So what happened now is that our colleagues are staying with foreign friends, and some of them are practically living in the street, that which we see as a misfortune.
What hope do
our
these
country.
students have on the student union?
You say, what hope do they have?
Yeah, what hope do you think they can have with you guys' involvement? Because this has been a outcry, even from not just the end, from the end of their parents in the country.
Yeah, so as we speak, we just received a petition from the students in Morocco, and we have about 7 different counts that is the student movement of Liberia will be presenting on Thursday,
Okay.
which is August 15. We have earmarked 2 different locations, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also the National Legislature, to also present this petition on behalf of our colleagues in Morocco. So on Thursday, we want to officially invite KMTV to be at our event, where we'll be presenting the petition on behalf of our colleagues. And from tonight, we'll start a campaign to call on the Liberian people to join us to make sure that our colleagues, their petition, or what they tend to say, the government listening to us. Because we believe that is our responsibility to speak on behalf of students. You were at the UMU case.
Okay.
UMU, yeah, UMU, we had about 5 graduating seniors that are supposed to be coming out on the 20th of this month. They were suspended illegally because we had copy of the.
You mean it's illegal?
Yeah, because
Okay.
from the angle of LINSU, we have copy of all of the institution handbook. So when there are issues at your institution, we don't rush, go and say, oh, you need to reinstate the president, you need to do that. No. The first thing, we're going to read the handbook and we'll see as to whether the student is in the wrong. If the student is in the wrong, we'll go there with the mind of apology. But if the student is not in the wrong, we will demand your immediate reinstatement, and that will happen at UMU. The first time we went there, the vice president for, I think, academic affairs said, where Zoe goes, we should leave the place. Identify myself, president of LINSU. He said, no, one palm. We left, we came back, we wrote the school book, we wrote the president, we wrote the bishop of the United American University, we wrote Commission Higher Education, we also wrote Ministry of Education. After a week plus 10 days, we could not receive redress. So that day you were there, you know what happened. We moved to the campus and then we brought a podium on the street and we demanded a reinstatement. And that same day, the president called the deputy police director, was also in that meeting, Tobo Jinswa.
I saw that person.
And so after that day, the guys were reinstated the following day. So you understand that this place, whenever people want to use engagement method, it will not work. So even now, when people don't have current at their homes, they block the street, you'll see that LEC will be running to go to the place. So I believe that the government is giving more attention to protest than people who want to engage with them peacefully.
And that's not a refuge trend in resolve.
No. As you can see, the country is very noisy. Every day you have protestation. Today you have people from West Point at EPA talking about the sea erosion. You have people at National Election Commission. You also have people as in Moses Funeral Parlor. You have people almost everywhere. Every day you have protest, you have march, you have peaceful assembly. And so for me, I think the police have to step up again. The government too have to listen to people who don't want to protest, who want to remedy situation through peaceful dialogue. And we have to leave this method of moving into the street before issues are resolved. Yeah, so I think the country would really need national consciousness building, because when you talk about national consciousness
that means
building,
being proactive as well.
Yeah. So if you talk about national consciousness building, is the mental attitude where people, where country is placed before personal issue. So I think that is one of the issues that we need to look at critically, because if we don't do so, every day people move into the street, it's not a good sign for our country that every day people will protest before they are listened to. So, like I told you again, for over a month, we've been advocating for our colleagues in Morocco, behind the scene, and the other people who will say, oh, Lindsay is not making impact, Lindsay is not doing this, Lindsay is not speaking for their colleagues. So, Thursday is the day, on the 15th of this month, we'll be at the foreign ministry, we'll also be at the grounds of the capital.
Well, if there's intervention prior to that day?
If there is intervention before that day, we'll boycott whatever we intend to do on that day.
But you sure of doing that so that you can
We should have doing it because we are not very sure that the government will intervene before that day.
Okay, so what's the stand now? Because we saw the reinstatement of the students there. I was there, and I also talked to you there. We understand that those guys were reinstated from the end of the administration of United Methodist University. Was it something that was a kind of I may say vibrant, or something not just maybe you want to say want to do it just to showcase at the end of the day, then it turned the other way around?
No, as we speak, most of those who were suspended have received their academic clearance for graduation.
Okay.
The last person to receive their clearance was the Secretary General of the Liberia National Students Union, Asim Wapo. Yesterday received his, and he will be graduating on the 20th. So one of them have received, so it's now a charade or something that administration said this, and tomorrow it will have to do something. So the guys are leaving the walls of the university on the 20th of this month.
So finally, we know that we've caught up with time. We have a series of issues to discuss, and we hope to bring you back. But before we go, we understand that this issue of students coming up with leadership, in the school want to be one-sided. They want to have that absolute control over student leadership in various universities, high schools, and all of things. What you guys doing to make sure that students have an equipped leadership, so that interruptions of administration giving illegal expulsion, suspension as well? What exactly are you really doing as a president of LINSU, so that the kind of an issue cannot affect the student leadership, the student learning environment?
So before I answer your question, let me quickly also provide you this information that before I came here, I also received communication from the 3 VKS MCSS schools leadership, the president of the William B. S. Tottenham, the president of the Garrison Women Gibson High School, GW Gibson on Capital Bypass, the president of D12, they all wrote a joint communication asking us to intervene about the prices of uniform at our various schools. And so we're informed that government told us that government school is free, but the price of a uniform can even pay the fees of another child in a private school. And so because of that, tomorrow we'll be taking a step towards that. We'll officially write the superintendent of the MCSS system, and we hope that they can listen to LINSU, and we'll see how best we can bring that to remedy. So you talk about student leadership as to how we tend to solve some of these problems. Student leadership all over the world. Students are not people who always agree with administration.
And that's administration who are ignorant to look kind of.
Yeah, so always administration will want to bring people on board that they have full control over. But again, student leadership, students are not people who always favor administration. In fact, once you are a student, it means that at most time you will not favor the decision of the administrators. So because of that, there are people who always want to have the students, under their arm, that whatever they say, it should happen.
Okay.
So because of that, they will all have issue with student leadership. So like for UMU, it is clearly stated that the student leadership is the one that's supposed to provide vendor for the issue of graduation material or souvenir material. But because the administration wanted to have control over that, they had to cancel the entire election result. So up to now, we are even hearing that you have 2 different classes for the graduating seniors at the United University. You have PAMU class, you have independent class, that which we believe that it's not in the interest of the students and even the institution as well. So we call all administrators to see how best they can lead the issue of student politics with students. When it comes to politics at your rank or at the level, you can be involved, but something that is for students should be led with students squarely to make sure that they make use of their potential, and tomorrow they can become leaders of our country, and they can practice leadership at an institution, and tomorrow they can come up better. Because that for me, I'm a science student, so we move to the laboratories to make sure that some of the elements we talk about, we see them. So students too who are reading administration, let's say political science, so these students are to practice student leadership at a very university or institution, so tomorrow when they graduate, they can be able to exercise that leadership that they have learned from the tertiary level to national leadership. So we believe that students should have the opportunity to always participate into student leadership, and they can also improve at the national scene, because they have been proven in history that people who did not practice leadership at their institutional level, they are likely to fail. So people who provided leadership at educational level, or they say they are doing their learning processes, they will always provide maximum result at national level. So I think it is good for all of us to see how best we can we can encourage student leadership, not only at the university level, even the high school level, because there are some institutions that do not support even student leadership at an institution. Some of them will tell you that this place is a Christian school, so here we only appoint people. So even UMU, that's why they say they're going to do. They will be appointing people, and those people they will appoint in student leadership, LINSU should work with them, and we say no, we can never work with student leadership that are appointed rather than elected.
Okay. So this is Youth Insight, and of course Mohammed Gandhi Kamara is the president of the Liberia National Students Union. He's been bringing us updates as to how things are going there with the student union in Liberia, the student environment. We understand how it takes for the student union to be in one accord, especially on learning matters. So we've been discussing a lot of issues, and we also brought forth the issue of the autopsy from Odell, and according to him, is now ongoing. And with the pathologists right now in the country, we look at the issue of tuitions going up high, and the Moroccan students talking about how petitions are soon to be provided to the government of Liberia through the legislature and other stakeholders, educational stakeholders. We'll also be looking at we also look at the issue of the UMU, that's the United Methodist University students, and that will be including the petition to be given. And Gandhi, before we close up, would you like to give your final words on the various issues shortly, so that we can cut the curtains?
So basically, we want to say to the public, thank you for your time of viewing, and we want to say that the autopsy on the body of the late Odette Sherman is currently ongoing, and we hope that we can have a final result and lay this particular issue to rest. And we also want to say to our comrades in Morocco that the National Student Movement will stand by your side. On Thursday, we submit a petition written by you guys to the government of Liberia, and we hope that things will be settled. And to our comrades who were suspended from the United Methodist University, we want to say congratulations for your achievements so far after your reinstatement. And on the 20th of this month, we'll be at the graduation ceremony, and we hope all of us can have a joyous moment together, and we can remember the difficult times we went through at your institution. So we want to say thank you very much for viewing, and we hope that we can have more of these engagements in your studio, and we hope that you can be able to call some of our programs, even including the one we're going to have after tomorrow. Thank you very much.
No problem, and I hope you can also contact your international partners on the platform, where they'll be invited as well.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Okay, he's Mohammed Gandhi Camara, the president of the Liberia National Students Union, been giving an update on issues concerning the student environment or the student community in Liberia. And that's how we cut down the curtains of this edition of Youth Insight. I'm Zach Totiamashiman. Thanks for being there. Next Tuesday, we meet again.
With the rising numbers, young people around the world are vital to the transformation of society. Of course, they are direct architects to the very uniqueness we need. But what is the way forward in reducing some of the challenges hindering the involvement of youth and society? Is it health, education, advocacy, and you just name it? Here comes Youth Insight, 1 hour youth dialogue